Prabhupad. Our Srila Prabhupada, he used to warn us about sahajiyas. And when I first went to India, December of 1973, I had my first encounter with genuine sahajiyas. So like all new young devotees, I was enamored, fascinated by Madan Mohan, Govindaji, Govardhan, Radha Kunda. Go to Radha Kunda. There are these Babajis. Most Babajis are named Krishna Das or Ram Das. So, sometimes, you know Krishna Das Babaji? As one man said to me many years later. I went, well, which one? Madrasi Baba? No, Gaudiya Math. That's how you know him. Madrasi Baba, Gaudiya Math. How you tell which Krishna is Babaji. So there's Madrasi Baba. I meet him. I don't know at the time that he is a former disciple of Ananta Vasudeva Prabhu, the Acharya of Gaudiya Math after Saraswati Thakur, who Guru Maharaj certified by saying, when Srila Saraswati Thakur would give lectures, none less than A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada would say, Prabhupada said some things I could understand, some things I could not understand, but I would continue listening. Whereas Srila Guru Maharaj, for the group, they'd go like, what did Prabhupada just say? Guru Maharaj would sit there and explain to them what he said, what it meant, etc. So, many cannot understand what he's saying, right? As we heard, Saki Charan Baba, when he first met him, he's like, in Mayapur, before this Gaudiya Math, pounding on a table, his neck, the veins are popping, and he said his face is flushed with blood, looks like a pink lotus. Oh, we know what is a pink lotus flower described in the Puranas. But this is like an intense lotus. There are different types of lotus. Tavakara Kamala Bharena Kam Adbhuta Sringam, Padanaka, Padma. Nails coming out of a lotus flower, that's possible too. Lotus flower that's ripping your face off, that's also possible. Once the head of the San Jose Realtors Association came to our temple, and he's like looking around, saw a poster, the famous Nrsingadev, ripping Hiranyakashipu apart, and he's got a garland of intestines, and he looks at me and goes, he's not a happy camper. I said, no, but he is. So my joke with Janardhan Maharaj, I always go, he's not a happy champak. I knew that would go over like a lead balloon. But anyway. Okay. So, Madrasi Baba. Oh, so Guru Maharaj, what did he say about everyone else trying to figure out what Saraswati Thakur was saying? And what did Saraswati Thakur say about Ananta Vasudeva Prabhu? Which way I will go, Vasudeva knows. He knows what he's going to say next before he says it. The others can't understand what he said afterwards. Vasudeva Prabhu knows what he's going to say before he says it. So when others said offensive things about Ananta Vasudeva Prabhu, Guru Maharaj always called him Vasudeva Prabhu, respectful. He said because although he ended up going against our Guru Maharaj, tried to break Guru Maharaj's faith in Saraswati Thakur, still Guru Maharaj revered him. He said, because he promoted my faith to Prabhupada. He could never forget that. And we should also never forget that. Some agent of Sri Guru who helps grow, nourish our faith. We don't say, oh, now he's, parking cars. How's the song go? Pumping gas and parking cars. I've got lots of friends in San Jose. we'll still remember, oh, maybe now parking cars, pumping gas, but he helped promote my devotion to Srila Gurudev. I am eternally grateful. That's the way. Guru Maharaj said, the Madhyamadikari position. We go, oh, I'm not a Madhyamadikari. That's not the way to think. It's trying to tell you what to aim for. You can say, oh, I'll never hit the target, so I'm going to shoot you in the face. That, no, try and hit the target. So, Madhyamadikar is happy to see the others making advancement, sad to hear someone's going away or losing their faith. Not happy to see someone go and envious about somebody being lavished with affection and praise from Sri Guru. Although Saraswati Thakur is of the opinion, he said, if a sadhu becomes my flatterer, he's my enemy. We all want a pat on the back, a photo op with Sri Guru. Saraswati Thakur was saying, if a sadhu becomes my flatterer, he's my enemy. Right? Because sadhu means one who cuts sharply with unpleasant language. Satyam briyad, we speak the truth, speak it palatably, don't speak an unpalatable truth, etc., etc. That's the general rule. That's not sadhu. When Gurudev's leaving London and they're packing his bags and everything, he said, Maharaj, you can't believe how happy I was in my former life. As I mentioned, most people, they always go like, as Hemingway said, at first things began to fall apart gradually, then all at once. And they tell you some horrible story. I was working in a slaughterhouse. Or this guy at the Anchor Rescue Mission in San Francisco, I'll never forget it. We'd go there for free food. This is in the hippie days of Haight-Ashbury. You've heard about that, right? You read it on the internet? It's in San Francisco. What people who don't live there are called Frisco. How do you know someone's not from San Francisco? I was just in Frisco. Anyway, so we go to the Anchor Rescue Mission. They shut the doors at a certain time, and then they make you hear songs. Christ guided me, Christ guided me, when nobody else would help, Christ guided me. And we're like, and then books, you have to read some slokas from the Bible. Yea, though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no one, because I'm the meanest in the valley. There's some weird folks there, right? But one guy, you have to give a testimonial, and he goes, I was drinking embalming fluid. An alcoholic. He's saying he worked at a morgue, embalming fluid, what you embalm a dead body with. I was drinking embalming fluid. Why did I say this? There's a reason.
They're giving their testimony.
Yeah, but testimony for what?
They changed your life.
Oh, right. So, right. So anyway, no, but there's another reason. So dealing with Saraswati Thakur, the Gaudiya Math, breaking the faith, etc. Anyway, we'll get back to it. So, praising Ananta Vasudeva Prabhu. So, when I go to Radha Kunda, I said about Madhyamadikari, and who appreciates someone going up and not happy to see them go down. Right? That's why people are, amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, now I'm found, etc. We like that. That should touch your heart. And you go, oh, someone who was in such a fallen position, they got saved by grace. Grace extended. Extension of grace. We like that story. It has an eternal pull on the soul. It makes us feel that there's some hope for us. When the great devotees they say how wonderful the Lord is, He's saving everybody, but, not a king named Prataparudra. The Braja Gopis say, you're supposed to be Patita, you save everyone who's suffering. We're suffering in separation from you. We're not on the list. Narottam, if you want to really test your mercy, you won't find a more suitable candidate than me. And I took a line from an old Robert Mitchum movie, or not movie, but just when he described himself, and applied it in a new way. And it goes like this. if you wanted to test the purifying potency, the combined purifying potency and power of Gaur and Nityananda, and you ordered a trainload of sinners to test it, and it showed up in the Navadvip train station, and only I got off the train, you could consider your order filled. Right? So we can say things like that and mean it. I said to Guru Maharaj, when Kaviraj Goswami says, Jagai madhai hoite murise papishta purishe rekita hoite murise lagishta. All right, it's Kaviraj Goswami posing. So what if you actually are more sinful than Jagai and Madhai? And it's not poetic. And he said, first of all, he's not posing. He really feels that way. Secondly, he said, oh, perhaps that has appeared in you, that sort of sentiment. In other words, I'm saying, for me it's real. He's saying, guess what? That's what he thinks too. How is that possible? It's possible. He's not posing. It's not posturing. It's not an act. It's not clever repartee. Anyway, so we'd been warned. And get to Radha Kunda. And there's something called Vedanam. Means instead of owning something, if a room becomes available, something called the Raghunath Das Goswami estate on the northeastern section of Radha Kunda. You can get a room, pay a certain amount of money, you can do bhajan there till the end of your life. At the end of your life, it goes back to the estate, they can do another Vedanam contract with somebody else. Somehow a room became available, I took it. I had $180, it cost around $120, I took it. Later, when I told Guru Maharaj about it, I'm telling him, like, I have this bhajan kutir in Radha Kund. Where? In the northeast. Oh, Raghunath Das goes, And I said once, like, when I was going to go get the Giriraj Govardhan Shila for San Jose, I said, can I even go there? Or is this okay? He said, you've been given entrance there. Anyway, so now Madrasi Baba, he's going to tell me the rules for living there. I've got my bhajan kutir. The first night I spent there, I was eaten alive by mosquitoes. And I was thinking, this is not going to work out. The other thing I did, this is the old days. You don't know what these places look like. You've seen them all develop. The fruit seller comes to town for a few hours. He knows what the people of Radha Kunda buy every day. So I buy around 12 bananas. Now everybody hates me. I'm going, why? They go, hey, bozo, you bought like everybody's bananas. That's for the whole town. I'm like, oh. He's like saying, you're going to have to like change your style here. So then he's telling me, what are the rules, what you can do, what you can't do. Saying, this dress, the saffron dress, that has to go. Because don't you know that Sanatana Goswami Prabhu and Jagadananda Pandit, that part of Charitamrita, where it says that cloth is not fit for a Vaishnava? Right? He's a disciple of Ananta Vasudev, renegade followers of Saraswati Thakur. Now they're saying, who wears this color? That's bogus. Sanatana Goswami Prabhu said it's not fit for Vaishnavas. Right? When Saraswati Thakur came to Vrindavan in this dress, and how are his two associates dressed? Like priests from Europe. Black, head to toe, black shoe, suited and booted. Black leather shoes, black pants, black coats, long black kurtas, black hats. They're priests. And he's in the center in saffron. And the local people say, these guys are bogus. They won't let them in the mat. They're throwing stones at them. They don't like them. To their credit, the Radha Raman group, they met with Saraswati Thakur, said, he's the real deal. We revere him. They invited him in. That's why I always like to visit them. And later when I met Vishwambar Goswami, who's the father of the ones who are there now, Mayor of Vrindavan, everything. I was telling him once when I just came from Guru Maharaj, I said, I was really in an ecstatic condition. I said, yata yata gora padara vinde, etc. And I said, I was just sort of sharing. I said, every atom of Navadvip can give Vrindavan. I'm telling this to the mayor of Vrindavan, the head of the Radharaman Goswamis. But he likes me, and he laughs. He goes, you must be a disciple of Sridhar Maharaj. I said, that's right. He goes, how could I guess? I liked him. He slept in my bed in San Jose, remember? Vishwambar Goshai. You were there, right? And I caught him, too. When I'm telling him what our Saraswati Thakur's opinions are about Ragamarg Diction, of course. Oh, yes, everything you say is true. No one should be given like Pujala Ragapat, Gaurava Bange, Matala Sarujana Vishaya Range, worshipable up above, here Vishaya Range. We're doing all kinds of mundane things in service to that. Riding motor car. Like I told Prabhupada, when we'd hear him talk, and he'd say, he's talking about how degraded everybody's become in the Kali Yuga. Saying, today everyone is drunkard, womanizer, motor car driver. Same level. Drunker, womanizer, motor car driver. And then what you're telling girlfriend in here, and we're calling prostitute. He said a lot of things. Wow! I remember one devotee came out of his room once, this devotee Sachi Sudha, he goes, I don't know, Prabhupada was talking about Hitler and Jesus, and Hitler came out on top. I don't know, I didn't quite get it, but many things like that. Anyway, so what I was saying, so he's telling me the do's and don'ts. And this Prabhu, there was Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Prabhu. Not telling everyone Prabhu. Prabhu is reserved for Guru. Cannot call ordinary Vaishnava Prabhu. It's like, so you not do that. Get rid of this dress. By the way, Guru Maharaj, what did he say? He's like Napoleon. When they tell the Austro-Hungarian king, the general, why are we losing the war? They go, the French got this new general. He doesn't know how to fight properly. Oh, that's why we're losing. Right. So his strategy was different. I don't want to draw this out. So he's saying, Saraswati Thakur saw people don't take Vaishnavas seriously. First of all, the Vaishnavas had a bad reputation for doing nonsense in the name of devotion. They're all a bunch of Raga, Marg, Bhaktas. They've got partners. When I would hammer these modern-day sahajiyas, and whenever you get to the sexual part, that's when they really get upset. Why do you have to always go to Yamat? They always have to bring that up. Well, there's a reason. Like Guru Maharaj told the story of the Babajis in Vrindavan. Prabhupada saw this with his own eyes, what's going on there. Like Guru Maharaj tells the funeral of the Babaji, and they're all sitting there and saying, he was an excellent, And one lady's crying, and she's going, they go, don't worry, Didi, Mataji. No, but he did not reach Goloka. And then, and what she means is, in Babaji parlance, he was known to be strict, not to engage in illicit sex, which is like vidhi. Right? So she's saying, he did not reach Goloka. And Guru Maharaj said, then one lady says, what do you say? I know he reached Goloka, and I know it fully well. Guru Maharaj told that story. That's why I would say it. Otherwise people go, oh, Goswami Maharaj said something inappropriate. What about if Guru Maharaj says something inappropriate? Or Gurudev? I just tell you, just throw in a little one. You don't know what I hear when you hear walking around the mat, walk around the back of the mat. There's this jackfruit tree there, and these big, drooping, hanging jackfruits. What does Gurudev say to me? Grandmother. While everyone's going, and your lotus feet will save thousands of... He goes, grandmother. That's why I love him. It's not playing some kind of a game. Sooner or later, you got to get real. Be candid about who you are, what you are. I'm not saying, we got to now be vulgar on TV. Hi, Mom. I'll see you in January. Ask my mom. She'll say, I know all about him. You're not telling anything I don't know. There's nothing you could tell my mother that would surprise her. Other than he's here. So, anyway, I digress. What was I saying? Oh, Prabhu. So, why does Saraswati... He's the one who introduced calling everybody Prabhu. The Sahajis object to that because it's reserved for Guru. In India, if you meet someone, they go, do you have a Prabhu? Yes, I have a Prabhu. That means Guru. He's calling his disciples Guru. There's all this talk about Gurus, like Gurudev said. When he said, now's not the time for Sri Guru and His Grace, you got to understand what he's talking about. What he's objecting to is there's a chapter called I Command You, Become Guru. He's not objecting to anything Guru Maharaj said. He said, but people are reading this and thinking they should become Guru when what they should do first is become disciple. That's what he meant. You have to go a little deeper to understand what's going on. So, all this talk about Guru, no Vaishnava thinks they're a Guru. No Guru thinks they're a Guru. They're the humble, aspiring servant of their Guru. If you think you're a Guru, you're gone. The moment you think you're a Guru, you're finished. That you are Guru. Someone said to Guru Maharaj, well, after all, the Guru is a Jiva. Guru Maharaj said, the Guru is not a Jiva. The Guru is Krishna. And he's descending as divine agency through a Jiva. The Vaishnava, the inspired side, the regular side. He said, just like a general in the military, a Russian general is not Russia. He's an agent of the Russian Federation. He isn't Russia himself. And he's got a private life. He goes home, he has a wife, a kid, this, that, or the other thing. But when he's got the uniform on, he's General so-and-so. Like I was talking about, the wedding general. The old retired generals, they invite them to weddings and give them drinks and stuff, and they give their blessing. They wear a bunch of medals and give everybody blessings. Guru Maharaj would say, I take my stand on spiritual common sense. So once you think you're a guru and why is it everybody's got to have a damn cane? As soon as you become a guru, you got to have some kind of a stick and walk around like, Why? Where does it, I missed that part. Where did it say in the, and every guru will have a cane that they bang. Gurudev did that because he was old. Look at those, we watched the film yesterday. See him walking around with a cane? Why should a 50-year-old man walk around with a cane? Unless you're trying to project that you're older than you are, you're wise beyond your, that kind of thing. It's Napoleon complex, speaking of Napoleon. It's not healthy. You need to be dressed down and think, what is Das Goswami? Das Goswami is the Prayojana Tattvacharya of the Rupa Nuga line. What does he say? Dasayate mama namostu nityam sakayame mama rasastu rasat. That's satyam, one's satyam, one's nityam. What is he saying? Confidential higher stuff, that's worshipable to me. I take my position in the lowest plane. The guru is the servant of the disciples, not a master walking with his head held high in the air. That's not a guru. A guru, Saraswati Thakur, when Guru Maharaj saw me, he's going, Dashoshmi, Dashoshmi. And he's like bowing, and Guru Maharaj said, oh my God, it's 1,000 people here. How many dandavats is he going to give? So when Guru Maharaj went, he just went like this and went on. And someone said, hey, you're supposed to bow down. And he said, oh, I'm thinking, if I bow, he's going to do it back to me. I want to give him a break. And that man said, oh, I understand. Very good. That's Guru Maharaj. Saraswati Thakur is saying, Dashoshmi, I'm your servant. I think, oh, that's cool. When I'm a guru, I'll say that too. Right? But everyone knows I'm really the master. Right? When I say jump, 20 people jump. When I walk around with my head held high. One devotee of our mat told a guru from ISKCON who got humiliated, thrown out, kicked out, and because he'd come to the mat earlier for Guru Maharaj's blessing, Acharya so and so, successor Acharya, Maharaj Kanks ki jai ho. You're not supposed to be Kamsa, or Hiranyakashipu, but they always do that in the Hindi movies. Maharaj Kanks ki jai ho. Kamsa, Devaki, Vasudev, So anyway, he comes in, then he comes back 2 weeks later like that. And that devotee, actually from Australia, said to him, he goes, Maharaj, you don't walk through the front gate of the Chaitanya Saraswat Mat with your head held high. The way you enter here is with your head on the ground, seeking shelter, the aparad bunjaner pot. When as a strategy, one of the ISKCON gurus, when they were starting, our numbers were growing, and they're going what are we going to say now? It's no longer the crazy Dira Krishna. Now there's 100, 200 people there. He said, well, tell everyone that actually only the offensive people are going there. So it's actually cleansing our mission. And so we told that to Guru Maharaj. They said, only the offenders are taking shelter here. And Guru Maharaj said, yes, that is the aparad bunjaner pot, where all the offenders are forgiven their offenses. And you can tell them, yes, what you say is true. And soon all of their offenses will be forgiven, and Mahaprabhu will give them everything. That was his response. When I wrote a 17-page paper for him. They wrote a 17-page paper against him. When it was read to him, he said, it is rather a glorification. He said, is that all they could find wrong with me? He kept waiting, where's the good part? It never came. And once he said this, and once he did that, and he goes, that's it? It is rather a glorification. So Saraswati Thakur, he addresses his disciples as Prabhu because he sees them as Vaibhav, or extension, of Gorkishore Das Babaji and Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And Gurudev told me that too on his veranda. When all of you were there, his disciples, he said, I see them all as extensions of Guru Maharaj. Because an actual Vaishnava Guru thinks, I'm unfit to do the seva that's come to me by my Guru. And my Guru has so mercifully appeared before me in the form of so many assistants. That's the vision. What does Prabhupada say? A Mahabhagavata Guru doesn't accept anyone as a disciple. He sees them all as extensions of his Guru. So that's why Guru Maharaj said the typical manager is thinking all right, these are the things I got to do, and you're offering yourself to me. Let me see. All right, you can do this one. And we have to do that. Don't get me wrong. But Guru Maharaj said, rather, the manager should be thinking is, here's the sincere servitor of Sri Guru. How can I assist them in realizing their service to Sri Guru? That's another vision. So we should be informed about both. Saraswati Thakur, Guru Maharaj says, really, and this is, a delicate summary, but saying really his Guru ultimately is Bhaktivinoda Thakur. But Bhaktivinoda doesn't want to show a family, Jata Goshai thing, birth. So my son, I give him Diksha. And then what? He gives his son Diksha. He wants to avoid even remotely that idea. So he sends him to Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Remember, Saraswati Thakur is such a big scholar, Siddhanta, Saraswati, etc. Goes to Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Babaji Maharaj is singing that song, Muke Radhe Radha Radha Bole Beshe Nayanara Jale Radhe Radhe. That's why we don't like anybody to say that. Only Das Goswami, Gorkishore Das Babaji can say Radhe Radhe. Once I told Gurudev, I said, for those who are inexperienced, as a flag, an identifier, I'm saying anyone who talks about, use the expression Manjari Bhav, you know they're a Sahajya. Just point, they use that expression, Sahajya. So if you hear that, run. Right? Whoever it is, they use that expression because it's bogus. It's not from Rupa Goswami. It's not in any Goswami literature. It's from this Radhakund Babaji from the 1950s. Kunjabi Hari Das Sahajyananda, something like that. So I'm telling Gurudev, I said, well, just to help them out, because they don't get it, I said, if you see these words, Manjari Bhav, you know it's just Sahajyaism. Whoever, supposedly Gaudiya Mat, no, it's Manjari Bhav, Sahajya. Right. So he goes, Maharaj, if you hear someone say the word Radhe, you know. Like we say the name of Radharani once a year, on her birthday and in Kartik. We sing Jai Radhe, according to Guru Maharaj, and that's it. Gurudev said, Radhe. When this bogus girl, Sahajya, comes to see Gurudev, and she's mentioning Radharani's name, but it's all like, it's like the holy name. What is the concept behind it? Not just making the sound, Namakar Bahi Roy Bata Namakabunoi. It's never just the sound. What is the spirit with it? And she does this whole thing and ends on the holy name, of Krishna's beloved. And I'm sitting here with Gurudev, and I'm just like, Gurudev, I want to just smack this bitch, to tell you the truth. Right? But and Gurudev keeps looking over, and then when she finishes the last line, which is the real name, Gurudev, he goes, macaroni. He finished her in one word. Macaroni. Like, what you just described is macaroni. And I went, unbelievable. He just finished her in a word. And then she leaves, like Sridhasrava Prabhu, just like, I can't even, let's just say they waltzed on down the stairs. As we waltzed up the stairs last evening, he waltzed her down the stairs. There, some like na 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 na, as they descended the steps. It's very beautiful to behold. Anyway, I turned to Gurudev and I said, Maharaj, you are so tolerant. He goes, no, Maharaj, you are so tolerant. I know. I was just about to lose it there. He goes, no, but I saw you were tolerant. I said, no, I was looking over at you and you were tolerating. He goes, no, I was looking at you and you were tolerating. Because really, it was time. So, anyway, those Sahajya. Oh, so when I say, I would mention those stories and talk about how bogus they are, doing their Manjari Swarup Sadhan. And they go, why do they always have to bring that up? The same person, someone said, hey, did you see, this post? And these are the exact words. And I just say this to you so you can know the truth. He says, the same person who was like complaining about me mentioning that story that I just told you about the lady, he did not reach Goloka, they found that very offensive. Says on his site, selecting a sexual partner to practice Manjari Swarup Sadhan is as important as selecting a guru. And he's got a degree in Sanskrit from London University, and I got more degrees than a thermometer. Right. It's not about that. Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, we're told, he could not write his name. He's functionally illiterate. Right? The greatest scholar in the last 200 years is sent by Bhakti Vinod Thakur to the lotus feet of Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj to take initiation. And what does Babaji Maharaj say? I will have to ask Mahaprabhu. Is that bogus? Right? Is that bogus or what? I shall have to ask Mahaprabhu. Saraswati Thakur comes back a fortnight later. Did you ask Mahaprabhu? I forgot. I mean, he's got a lot on his plate, right? Being a Babaji. No pun intended. A lot on his begging bowl. A lot in his skull. Why did he do that? It's humiliation. Everyone wants Saraswati Thakur to be their follower. Everybody wants to get him. Yeah, he's my disciple. He's my disciple. He goes, Bhaktivinoda sends him to someone who's functionally illiterate. And what does Babaji Maharaj say? I forgot to ask. Guru Maharaj said, to crush his scholarly ego. And the plane you're approaching, it's not only not a qualification, and it could be a disqualification. Then, of course, he accepts him, and the rest is history. But what is it? Devotees have difference of opinion. Saraswati Thakur gets the inspiration to go preach in Kolkata, which is formerly the capital of India. And Babaji said, don't go to Calcutta. That's the place of Ma Kali. Jai Ma Kali Kolkata Wali. Don't go there. Stay in the Dham. What are you, crazy? Just stay in the Dham. Take the holy name. Don't go to Calcutta. It's the center of hell. Some people say the anus of the universe. It's been described that way. Right? The horror. I've looked into the anus of the universe and seen the horror. I used to pray to Krishna when I was collecting in Calcutta, like whatever my next life is going to be, I do not want to be a Telawala on Mahatma Gandhi Road. Those are the guys who looks like a seesaw and they carry like 12 refrigerators. I'm just saying, like, rickshaw well I could handle because like it's just like 1 or 2 passengers and you get to eat the chickpea stuff. But the Telawala, that just, I go, oh God, that would break me. I don't want to be a Telawala. I mean, unless it's required. If it's absolutely required, all right, I get it, you know. Why about, Calcutta. And what does he say? I have got such faith in your lotus feet. A particle of dust from your holy lotus feet can liberate thousands of Calcuttas. And in fact, if it's the heart of Maya, the very Maya central, that's exactly where I want to establish the temple of Mahaprabhu. In the center of hell, I want to have a throne with Guru, Gauranga, Radha and Govinda and begin the worship there in the center of hell. That's my idea. So Saraswati Thakur. Right? And if it wasn't for him, Bhakti Vilasitu Riddhi Nityam Bhakti Siddhantavani, his voice inescapably present within the hearts of his followers. Guru Maharaj preferred Nirjan Bhajan, and he's qualified to do it. Just could not escape the voice of Saraswati Thakur. So he started Chaitanya Saraswat Mat. Prabhupada Vrindavan Radha Damodar, the voice of Saraswati Thakur like a drum beating in your heart. Preach, extend Mahaprabhu's creed to the Western countries. Do it, risk your life, do it. He didn't want bead counters. Babaji Maharaj, who we love dearly, when you hear me sing these mantras, they're all Babaji Maharaj. Learned them from him, how to sing those songs. I'm still haunted by the melodies and his mercy. But what he did was not approved by Saraswati Thakur. He knows it, I know it, Guru Maharaj knows it, we all know it. Right? But we still revere him. So when he's doing his 64 rounds in the jungle of Baliati, Guru Maharaj gets the seva of being the president, Delhi, Gaudiya Math. He writes him a letter saying to Saraswati Thakur, because he's his old friend, he goes, I'm staying to invite my friend to join me in Delhi, but he's chanting a lakh of Krishna Nam every day. So how should we would I be taking him away from something higher if I asked him to help me in the Delhi Mat where, look, you have to go to the store, buy stuff, someone gets a toothache, you got to clean the bath. There are many things you have to do, right? Saying, but he's doing a lack of Krishna. I don't know. Maybe I'm not supposed to ask him. Maybe that's the higher thing. Some people say, yeah, for those who could not chant a lakh a day, then they go go to the kitchen, cook, clean, sew, collect, do this. But what's really wanted? That kind of thing. Kali Kale Namarupe Krishna Avatar. I like this verse in Karnamritam. Jaya 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 Deva 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 Tribhuvana Mangala Divinamadeya Jaya 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 Deva Krishna Deva Shravana Mannanayana Amrita Avatara. So he's appeared in the form of his whole name. We're told, Kalo Krishna Nam Sankirtan Kalo Parama Upai. You'll get everything. But Guru Maharaj said, to get to the plane where you get everything this way, you'll have to cross mountains and oceans of what? Ego. What is that? Yuvatinam sloka. You know what? What's the last line? Rishaya, Parbata, Ahankara, Parbata. Anyway, a mountain of ego is separating us. Hari, 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 Vinod Bole, Haridas, Vinod Bole, Hi, Haridasa Hari Nahi Pai. Vinod Bole, Bhakti saying, Hari, who's nearest and dearest to me, not to be found anywhere? What is this? Ego separating. So, what was I saying? Voice of Saraswati Thakur beating in the hearts of his disciples. And, Guru Maharaj says, so, can I invite him to Delhi? Saraswati Thakur says, if you invite your god brother to serve with you in the mat, you'll be doing him a real favor. Because I don't consider, he said, counting beads in the jungle of Bali Ati is Krishnanushilana Sangha. Someone knows, no, he's taking the holy name. Once Saraswati Thakur was preaching to some man, and his disciples doing that thing in the corner. People chant japa during lectures and stuff like that. We should have a sign, Anyway, and so someone's like, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, and Saraswati going, stop making noise. And that disciple had the audacity to say, you're making noise, I'm taking Krishna Nam. And you think we have to deal with Mormons. I like Mormons. Catherine Heigl and other ones. I like those people. Joseph Smith, Steve Young. But whenever I say Mormon, it means minus the M. Right? He had to deal with them too. Imagine a disciple says to Saraswati Thakur, you're making noise, I'm taking Krishna Nam. When you can hear on some tapes, Guru Maharaj is giving the highest Siddhanta, and there's some guy downstairs going, and when they brought it up to Guru Maharaj, he said, he is full in himself. He doesn't need me. He's full. Full of stuff that I can't even mention in polite company. Right? That's what he's full of. Right? We have met the enemy, and the enemy is us. Udared atmanat manam atmanam avasadayet atmaiva hyatmano bandhur atmaiva ripu atmana. Right? So, what does he say about Kripaya Hari Kirtana Murti Dharam, who can't stop talking about Krishna? He's the Hari Kirtan Murti. What are we saying? When I asked Guru Maharaj, or someone said, did Saraswati Thakur used to dance in the kirtan and sing and Guru Maharaj, he said, Prabhupada? Inconceivable. So he'd just stand there like gravity personified, and everyone else would be playing mridungas and dancing like Manasa Krishna. When I first saw Manasa Krishna on the 2000 Navaditam Parikrama, I'm struggling. It's like the beginning of old age. I'm struggling to go to the next. My feet hurt. And Manasa Krishna is dancing and playing the mridanga. He wasn't walking on the parikrama, but dancing. He's going like this, playing a mridanga, and I'm going, and he's smiling, and I'm like, and Bengali ladies are like, get out of the way. Barefoot Bengali women. And one woman comes in, and I go like, hey, what are you guys doing over there? And she goes like, they're chewing pan. I said, hey, hello. They go, oh, okay. I'm chewing it too. Then I got a little boost. And I think I'll make it to the next place. Thank you, ma'am. If you need more, just ask for Mama. Just ask for Dee Dee. Okay. You know where Dee Dee is? All right.
Dancing to the road is so hot.
There you go. See, he's clever. Anyway, what do you expect from an Aussie but a little hop in a step? Right? They got a genetic advantage. And I'm not saying anything about their origins or anything like that. Okay, I wouldn't even go there. But the little hop in the step. But anyway, so Saraswati Thakur, what does he say? Kirtan means a fight. Well, I thought it means... No, he says it means a fight. The Krishna conception against the Mayak misconception. He's not looking for bead counters. Do you really think you're going to impress those people? Guys who can chant 192 rounds a day, fast, follow everything perfectly, like the Naga Babas, they don't wear a stitch, walk around, or a guy with, a chain, he's got all the cool people, they have nose rings, tongue rings, everything, and then you see someone who's got a bolt through his penis. Right? Like there's a bolt from the blue. How about a bolt through the penis? That can't be fun, except in certain parts of the Bay Area. You know what I mean? But really, you see, that's what, they're like those guys. I met a guy like that when we walked up to Badrinath in the Himalayas. His name was Tyagi Baba. We're sitting there. That's when Riksharaj made some dal. And he had very minimal English skills. When he took our dal and our loki, it was like dalma, vegetables in a dal. He just went, beautiful, beautiful. And I wanted to buy he had a coconut carved a gourd loda. Not coconut, a gourd loda. And I'm trying to buy it from him. He's going I mean, the guy has nothing, right? I mean, you can see that he has nothing. Like Sukadeva says, how is he dressed? Digambara, dressed in the directions. That's the poetic way of saying somebody's naked. He was only dressed in the north, south, east, Digambara, Digambar, Sukadev. But he's attached to his little loda. He wouldn't sell it to me. And he's smoking bidis. I go, why do you smoke bidis? He goes, to pass the time. And the pujaris all have chillums where they're getting stoned. They have cornfields full of ganja. The stalks leaning against the deity room drying. Because we were walking by and I go, and my friend Riksharaj says, is that the 5-finger lady? I said, I don't know. As far as the eye could see. So the guy growing all this, he sees the look of astonishment on our faces. And he goes up to one of the stalks and he goes, and then he goes, and this deep dark green brown juice is on, and we go, oh my God. That's what they're doing up in the mountains, right? There's one cave in Badrinath. It's way when we're high up in Badrinath. There are these caves, thousands of it, and there's some yogi in there. And one of my friends says, watch this. It's a cannon. He goes, Ram! Right. Then we hear coming back the other direction. Ram! come back from the other side. There's a yogi living up there. But what did Gurudev say when he visited them? First one he visited, 300 years old. Very impressed, gives him a donation. Goes to the next yogi, he's 500 years old. When that yogi hears that he went to see the other guy, he goes, he's a kid. He just moved in. Punk. So the ego's still there. Like I told you, when I was in Moldova and they made a mistake on the advertisement, and I've got this lecture in the evening, and the place is packed. There's people in the hall, in the aisles, and there are all these kids in the front, and they're all like looking at me, and I say, because there was an ad that said, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Golden Avatar, 500 years old, like Bhakti Sudhir Goswami. So I said, are there any questions? And I go, yeah, what's your question? He goes, how old are you? And then I realized the poster said, Mahaprabhu, 500 years old, Bhakti Sudhir Goswami. They thought I was 500 years old. That's why everybody came. So I thought, in the future, if you need to fill a hall, just say the guy speaking tonight is 500 years old. And there will be refreshments. Right. They lied in the Gaudiya Math too. They said things about Saraswati Thakur. They used to tell people, he lived in the jungle and only ate tulsi leaves for 12 years. Because, people, they just eat this stuff up. That's what they want to hear. Right? He's so far beyond that. And what is his vision? When his own man comes back from preaching in the West, and Guru Maharaj's word, half converted, and the famous meeting at the docks where Prabhupada's there, Guru Maharaj's there, and he says, they ask questions that cannot be answered. Talking about Europeans. And Srila Prabhupada Swami Maharaj says, what are those questions? And then he says them, and Guru Maharaj answers them one by one. And Swami Maharaj, today, Europe has been defeated by Asia. Then they take him to Saraswati Thakur, and he has the audacity to tell Srila Saraswati Thakur, what you've got is insufficient for them. His own man comes back and says that. What you've got, insufficient for them. And Guru Maharaj said, Professor Senyal wanted to strangle him. He's like, he just wants to grab his neck and strangle him. And instead, if he keeps his composure, and he said, you have forgotten the first principle, because Saraswati Thakur cannot speak. The Kripaya Hari Kirtan Murti is dumbstruck. His own man just came back and challenged him and said, what you've got is insufficient for them. He could not speak. He's like, and Sanyal said, you've forgotten the first principle of spiritual life, which is Adau Gurvasram, taking shelter of Guru. You're nothing without Guru. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you've become? And then Saraswati Thakur gained his composure and said, my Guru Maharaj, Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, was functionally illiterate. He couldn't write his own name. He said, but I found that all spiritual knowledge was contained in a particle of one of the nails of his holy lotus feet. That was his angle of vision. And that's why he took shelter of the lotus feet of Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. And why Srila Guru Maharaj in his birthday song, and I hope you sang it, or will sing it, the Baya Banjana song. Oh, this is Disappearance. Anyway, don't sing that. You can't sing that song in the Disappearance. But I can quote it. Can't sing it, but you can quote it. Forgot. This is Disappearance. Anyway, there it says, Brajamanana Bahu Kanana Kamala, what is it? Gaurima Guna Haribat, wait. Kamala Priya and Nija Guna Manjari Gaurima Guna Haribasana Bayanam. but what did I miss? Kamala Priya. Kamala Priya Nayana. Anyway, what he's saying about internal identity. There is a kunja in the spiritual world that is predominated over by Kamala Manjari, who is Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And her assistant is Guna Manjari, Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is Nayana Mani Manjari. And Nayana Mani Manjari, who Guru Maharaj says in his separation prayer, Radharani, why did he leave at the time he did? That's the time when Radha and Krishna awake in the morning and they have to return to their homes. They've spent the night together with their intimate associates and now they have to return to their home before the grown-ups wake up. Krishna has to go to his house, Radharani has to go to her house. So it has to be, everyone needs to know what to do so that this takes place without hitch. And he said, how can Guru Maharaj know these things? He said, and this morning, Radharani wakes up and first things he says, where is Nayana? Nayana Mani Manjari. I need Nayana Mani Manjari. Where is she? And there's, no, not, she has some other seva, which is spreading Krishna consciousness in this world. Radharani said, no, I cannot bear her separation for another moment. And took Saraswati Thakur up into the world into his internal identity, Nayana Mani Manjari. Srimati Radharani herself took him up. May look like disappearance and so many other things. Radharani couldn't tolerate his separation. Who is he? Without him, we don't get Govinda Maharaj, Guru Maharaj, Prabhupada, Bhakti. We don't get nothing without Saraswati Thakur. You go, well, Bhakti knows this, Guru Maharaj. Don't even talk about it. Without Srila Saraswati Thakur, zip, nada, nothing. Therefore, he's Prabhupada. Right? So, what does Guru Maharaj say? Kamala Priya Nayanam Guna Manjari Gorima Guna Haribasana Vayanam. That Saraswati Thakur likes to sing the glories. Nayanamani Manjari likes to praise Guna Manjari's qualities. Again, devotees praise other devotees. And so his name is Guna Manjari. Qualities is Guna. That's the second meaning of the word Guna. And Guna also means threads or rope, right? Like we say the three gunas, the ropes, the modes of material nature. So Guru Maharaj uses this word with three levels of meaning, saying, when Nayana Mani Manjari sings the gunas of Guna, the result is Guna. So he sings the qualities of Guna Manjari, and one quality is like a thread. Another quality is like a thread. Another quality is like a thread. And what it's doing, it's weaving a Chinmoy tent. And that Chinmoy tent that's been woven out of the praise of Nayana Mani Manjari for Guna Manjari creates this irresistible Chinmoy spiritual tent that Krishna wants to enter and dwell in. That's what Guru Maharaj says in the sloka. Loud. Then, last line. And the first line. Yeah. Yeah, how beautiful. Who can write that? This is what I'm trying to tell you. Every now and then, at least, you have to hear something like that and say, how inconceivable is our good fortune? This is the Chaitanya Saraswati Mat. And not to disparage anyone else. Every Mat, they have Mangal Arati. They're singing the songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Narottam, as they should. We worship those things. They have Bhog Arati. They read Charitamritam, Chaitanya Bhagavad, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Bhagavad Gita, etc. That's a wonderful thing. So what distinguishes Chaitanya Saraswati Mat from any other Mat is this original wealth that comes primarily from Srila Guru Maharaj. Srila Gurudev also has his poetry. But his vision is that Guru Maharaj, he's that. He's Saraswati, he's the Rupa Nugadara. That Saraswati Thakur transferred the line to Srila Guru Maharaj. And Srila Gurudev is whom? His divine servitor. It's all okay, but you have to understand it, the hierarchy. It's not optional. There's, Sri Radha and Krishna. Next to Radharani, Lalita Vishakha. Next to Lalita, Rupa Rati. There's a line. You have to become acquainted with that. It's reality. So, this is when I went to Guru Maharaj, and as we became more connected, started talking in shorthand, like couples do. So once I came before him and I said, this is all I said. I went, third position. He went fifth. That's our discussion. I went third position, fifth. And I go, oh, that's the conversation. What are you going to do if you have a recording of that? What will you do with it? One man says third, the other man says fifth, and then he goes, oh. Is it a meaningful conversation? Might there be something meant in there? And that's when Guru Maharaj said, what I am about to tell you, you hear with your full attention. And that's when the initiation took place. But I don't want to get into that right now. But before that, what I meant when I said third, I didn't count the first two, Radha, Krishna. So I'm thinking, what is the how far can a jiva go? So I said third. He goes, fifth. I went, oh, Radha and Krishna. I wasn't counting them. That's 1, 2. Then Lalita, the Sakis, 3. Manjaris, 4. Assistants to Manjaris, 5. And then he gave me what I consider conceptual diksha. Right? Anyway, fast forwarding, I wanted to study English literature because I thought for preaching, I don't understand why people aren't appreciating all of this. Am I doing something wrong in my presentation? And they say, like, what you have been sufficient. I'm saying, really? Hit me with your best shot. That's what I thought. Hit me with your best shot. I'm going to put my arms behind my back with my Gaudiya Siddhanta and understand. Hit me with your best shot. So they say, well, the best of what has been thought and expressed. English literature, the poets, etc. They used to be the arbiters of reality. So I studied it for 2 years. We were talking about this earlier. 3 teachers on the verge of a retirement who are passionate about the English language. I studied it from Beowulf and Batter My Soul, 3-person Lord, all of this stuff up to Romantics, Victorians, etc. And then American literature. So I got some general understanding of what is their best thoughts and when it's been expressed the best way. And I thought, this will, when I now come to annihilate you, I'm gonna quote your stuff. That's the classic Irish way. Jonathan Swift, Oscar Wilde, we'll learn your language and then use it on you to humiliate you and just tear you down and throw you in a gutter, you British bastards. That kind of thing, which the Australians can appreciate. That's what the importance of being earnest is, by Oscar Wilde. Everything trivial is being made exalted. Everything exalted is being trivialized. He's making fun of the British upper classes. When the British upper class says to the other guy, if the lower class people don't set an example, who will? Like, not us. There's like 1,000 one-liners like that. One says like, everyone's so damn clever these days, so much of modern education depends upon what one hasn't read. And everyone's so damn clever these days. I wish there was a few fools left. He goes, oh, there are. Really? Yes, there are. Then I should like to meet them. Tell me, what do the fools discuss? Oh, clever people. What fools? He's just sticking it to them again and again. Right? Their pompous, arrogant position that European civilization is everything. And Western civilization, I asked my brother, is there a course called Eastern civilization? He goes, no. They think it started in Greece. Right? Remember Halbfast, that book, India and Europe? The German scholar? He mentions some Indian guy in one of these deep, Greeks, it's like Socrates, everybody else. And the Indian guy sitting in the back going like, oh God. And they're like, what's so funny? Well, like the stuff you're talking about. So like that, where I come, back home, that's like the lowest. You think this is like super exalted, and the truth, when considered from an abstract position, like he's saying that we consider that like a very low kind of thing. Have you ever heard of Atmagyan? And there's like anyway. It's entertaining. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm trying not to crack up again, but like it's kind of funny. These are actual recorded incidents. Halbfast, India and Europe. Anyway. So then, I learn what they say is their best. And I'm not just I like some of it. Keats, still to hear her tender taken breath, and so live on or else swoon to death. It's very beautiful. A sonnet to sleep, curious conscience, I got that from him. That's beautiful, sonnet to sleep. Milton, sonnet on blindness, Guru Maharaj like that. Doth God exact day, labor, light denied? Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. God doth love all things, big and small. Guru Maharaj, trust no future, however pleasant. Let the dead past bury its dead. Act in the living present. Heart within, God overhead. Guru Maharaj, that's like, for him, paraphrasing, Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pasyanti Suraya. So I found like things that I liked. And I was saying, good, I'll use this in my preaching. So when I speak to a Western person, I won't be totally ignorant. I'll know who these great writers were. Met an English teacher on a flight to Bangkok. And I said, I'm thinking of like reading again. What should I read? Who do you read of modern writers? He goes, no one. Well, who do you read? The great writers. Well, like who? Dostoevsky, Tolstoy. I said, oh, you mean like War and Peace, Brothers Karamazov? He goes, no, I know. He goes, look, get Notes from the Underground, read that, and then you'll understand. So, I am a unhappy man. I am an ugly man. I am a sick man. I said, I like this book. I get it. I feel like that. And he said, why is it one moment I'm raising my glass in a toast to the highest, the best, the spiritual, the ultimate reality, and the next moment I'm capable of sinking to the most abject slime? I said, I know this guy. I know this voice. It's inside of me. He said, I thought you'd like it. That's Dostoevsky. You can read a little Tolstoy too. Right? So I'm hearing the best of what they've thought, best of thought expressed, etc. I said, okay, I'll use it. Like Gurus, the boast of heraldry, the pomp of power, all that beauty, all that wealth e'er gave, awaits alike the inevitable hour, the paths of glory lead but to the grave. That's why he's doing that. Using Hegel is a very good man. Hegel's a Brahmavadi. But he says many basic things that are useful. Anyway, I finished that course of study. It takes 2 years. The teachers, they invite me to lunch and they make this impassioned plea that we're all on the verge of retirement. You should teach the students. And they say, actually, you only have to come 2 days a week. And a third day you do office hours, consulting with students and grading papers. They said it's really cool, you get benefits that, you're the one, we see in the 2 years, you're the one who should be teaching everyone this. I said, I'm really flattered, but sounds like work. I don't do that, excuse me, I said, back to I'm actually interested in the truth. And my philosophy teacher's wife said to me, yeah, but you need a job too. I mean, how are you going to support yourself? I said, just, being faithful to the truth, I think it'll all work out. No, you need a degree. Anyway, so then suddenly those hard facts are hitting me. I do not have any money. The rent is due. Right? What are you going to do when the rent comes due? And I'm in deep doo-doo. The deep doo-doo. And also I'm thinking, what am I doing with my life? And I have a dream of Srila Guru Maharaj. And in the dream, Guru Maharaj appears to me and he goes, Ram Das. And then the dream vanishes. And I'm thinking, what does that mean? But I'm saying, at least Guru Maharaj is still appearing to me in dreams, so that I'm feel pretty good about that. But Ram Das? I'm looking you mean the Meena Ketan Ram Das part in the Charita? I'm maybe when Mahaprabhu writes Ram Das on Murari Gupta. I'm trying to figure out. Anyway, but I can't think about it too much because the rent is due. And then I had an old friend in ISKCON. His name was Rahugana. And he had this printing company and they do publishing and stuff like that. And it wasn't too far away. And we're old friends. He and his brothers used to come and see me, listen to my lectures. They were engaged in the pharmaceutical industry previously. They would give me large sums of cash after the lecture that they'd got from selling the pharmaceuticals. And so it was like a happy arrangement. So anyway, someone said, he's, 10 blocks down the street, south of Market. Why don't you, Called him up and I heard devotees work with him. I said, I'm really be uncomfortable going into a place where a bunch of devotees are at this point. He says, okay, I'll meet you in a cafe. Meet in a cafe, talk, I have a certain level of design skills, editing, this, that, the other thing. He's making a proposal to me, you can work with me, and I'm saying, I need income. And he says, it's late, no one's at the place, the publishing company. You want to see it? I go, okay. We're 2 blocks down. He's I'm the scared animal kind, okay. We walk around and go, oh, this place is cool. And then there's this room on the rooftop that overlooks San Francisco. He said, this could be your office, and you can design things and do all this stuff here. I'll be down here, and you're going to like the employees, and, they're really non-judgmental, mellow group. I said, then we go in his office, and I'm looking at, he's an expert at printing. And then he goes, I go, wow, this book is beautiful, called The Art of Makeup by Kevin O'Kwan, who started doing makeup on his sisters when he's a little boy. And his sister, with all due respect, they're ordinary looking women. and he could make them look unbelievable. So that's what he does in his book. He has Tori Amos and like Christy Turlington and people like that, but then he just takes like his sister and some other women and makes them look like supermodels. That's why he's like one of the gods of makeup. And the book's this big, it's got these color pictures, and I said, now I'm starting to think about working with him, and I said, okay, here's the last thing I got to say. I said, you see this book? And it was like 1985 Book of the Year, and he won an award for it in publishing. I said, if I work with you, I want to make a book like this about Srila Saraswati Thakur. That's the deal. And he said, that's why I have all of this. If we don't do that, I've just been waiting for you to come and do this, because Guru Maharaj said the two of us previously would publish something together. And whatever Guru Maharaj said, I guarantee you it will happen. So Guru Maharaj said we would work together and publish. And he said, that's what all of this is for. Hello? Yes, of course. I want to use all my abilities and skills to do that. And I'm waiting for you to like hook up with me so we can do it. It's not, look, you think you have to like convince me? That's why you're here. The other stuff is just superficial. This is what we're supposed to do. That's why I have all these facilities. I said, then, deal. You know, we're like, so then some time goes by, and we do this thing. I'm ashamed to admit it while it's being recorded. But when we need to like look at designs and stuff like that, we go to like the best bookstores and buy like $300 or $400 worth of book on a Friday afternoon. Keep them for the weekend, scan, photocopy, this, that, the other thing, and the secretary returns them on Monday for a full refund. Maybe we keep a book if we really like one. But we've got to really like it if we're actually going to pay for it. Especially when you publish books, you just feel like you shouldn't be paying for books. It's a thing. So, this book is just not coming down for some reason. We go to the museum, MoMA, or SF MoMA, San Francisco Museum of Modern Art. And we're in the bookstore, and I get it. And I just screamed to him, he's on the other side, I go, it's coming down. And we run out of the bookstore, get in the car, like, and go back to the place, and I just turn on the computer and go like, and then it'll be like this and like that, and we're like throwing things around, and then it goes like this, and then we're tracing, you know, and then we have the template for how the book's supposed to be, right? And the book will be called Prabhupad, Saraswati Thakur. And it didn't become what we wanted it to be. But still, and I'll preface it by saying this, I'm with Gurudev years later on his veranda, and the Acharya of the Gaudiya Math comes. And he walks right by me and starts talking to Gurudev and puts his chair like with his back to me. I'm sitting on the couch. His back is to me. And he's raving to Gurudev about this book. This book is the most important book ever, and this is the greatest book, and only in this book has Prabhupada been properly glorified. And he's going on and on and on. And Gurudev's just watching his foot. It's like a Python movie. He's watching the foot go deeper and deeper into his mouth. He's like having a snack, a cup of tea or something. It's very amusing to him. And after around 20 minutes of unbelievable, ranting, raving, mad glorification of this book, he's like, are you finished? Yes, Maharaj. He goes, you see that, Maharaj? Who? What Maharaj? The one behind you. He was like, yeah. He goes, he made that book. He's my assistant. Anyway, I'm a little tired. You know, like... That was the best. He made it. He works for me. It's one of my employees. I mean, I really got to like go to the bathroom right now. But it was not, I'm happy you dropped by. Anytime you're in the neighborhood, come on by. All right? Love you, buddy. Now, don't let the door hit you on the way out, So anyway, we're working on this book now. And at a certain point, somebody slapped me. It's like 3 weeks. We're not sleeping. We're like just nod out and wake up and then work on stuff. And there's one famous phone call when we're finally on press. You know how when you select Command P on your computer to print? When I would select Command P, it would print out on a 5-color press in Hong Kong. Think about it. He'd be over there, I'd be over here, and he goes, hold back on the magenta. And the famous thing at Palace Press is that we have this international phone call. This is the old days. And we both fall asleep, but don't hang up the phone. So it's an $800 phone call. He's on one end going, and I'm on the other end going, wake up around 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning and go, oh my God, the phone. We both forgot to hang up the phone. It just, the people who bought the book paid for that phone call. This is when Sarah said, I'm prepared to throw money in the Ganga if it's necessary to serve Krishna. So anyway, and I wrote the intro and many things, right? But what happens is we're trying to meet a Gaur Purnima deadline. And we're looking at this book, and when you don't sleep, everybody starts getting like hyper emotional. There's men, women, we're all working on this, doing our best. We create that picture. I got the idea of Saraswati Thakur. Why don't we turn his dhoti into saffron? It's a famous black and white picture, but let's make the dhoti saffron. It's on the cover of the book. He's sitting in the chair like this. Like Vidagdha Madhava spent like a month, 18 hours a day doing that. Wasn't easy. Many, many things, right? So we have this final meeting. Are we going to print the book with mistakes? Or miss the deadline and edit it for another 2 months and bring it up? It just hasn't reached the standard it should be at, as far as we're concerned. And we decide in this meeting to go to the 2 months. Let's, come on, it's a deadline. All right, we didn't make it. Let's just admit it. We didn't make the deadline. Let's serve the book properly. Some people are crying. It's a very emotional thing. We're not going to meet. It's not going to go to India. It's not going to show up for Gaur Purnima. The whole big, like all the devotees, we're all going to be happy, and So people leave, they cry, they go home. Oh, I forgot to say, when I meet my friend and I make the deal with him about the book, I said, so what's been going on in your life? And he says, well, because he used to be in ISKCON, Rahugana, he says, I got reinitiated by Srila Puri Maharaj. I said, oh, what's your name? He goes, Ram Das. I said, it's a very nice name. Anyway, so we're not going to meet the deadline. And there's a system in publishing where when you're working on books for clients, you send it to them, they make corrections, it goes back, you keep going back and forth like this, but there's a point where they sign off. It's called signing off. So someone say, did they sign? Yeah, the client signed off. Once they sign off, you have the permission to print. That's how it works. So, and I should preface this by saying that when I was thinking what this book is going to look like, I thought it would be really nice if in the beginning there was a signature of Srila Saraswati Thakur. And he said, oh, my Guru Maharaj has letters from him, and I think we can locate one, Somehow we never got it, It was just on the list of graphic images to include and wasn't showing up. No. Anyway, we have the big tearful meeting. We're going to miss the deadline, the Gaur Purnima deadline. And I'm going to go back up to my design studio, and he's like looking around in the production area. And we have these fax machines that bring things in from China and all over the world. And as I'm walking up to my design studio, I see this paper coming out of the fax machine. I think, I just like to look at it every now and then, see what it might be, like from some Hong Kong supplier or somebody. And I pull the paper out, and I see it coming out, and it's the signature of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And I yelled and I go, "He's signing off!" What? I said, "It's Saraswati Thakur's signature. He's signing off on the book. He wants us to print it." So we printed the book. And just to conclude, it was almost 1 o'clock, is some man in ISKCON who's smart said, actually, he's presenting this book like it's an offering from all of the disciples of Saraswati Thakur to Saraswati Thakur, because there's Guru Maharaj, something from Puri Maharaj, something from Prabhupada, Madhava Maharaj, He's very cleverly presenting this as if it's an offering from all of the disciples to Saraswati Thakur, but actually, beginning and middle and end, it's a Sridhar Maharaj book. Once again, Sudhir Goswami has snookered everyone. It's a Sridhar Maharaj book in the disguise of something else. And when I heard that, all I did was smile. I thought, at least one guy figured it out. He thought all the other stuff is just a trick to get everybody to hear Sridhar Maharaj's conceptions. I thought, you are a very intelligent young man. Hare Krishna. But I'm here in the presence of Bhaktivedanta Mahayogi. I spoke too long, but can you just say a few words on Vedanta?
On Vedanta?
That's a joke. Saraswati Thakur has a booklet called A Few Words on Vedanta.
Oh, right.
If you just say a few words about him. He can use my mic. He's, as should be mentioned, the unsung hero of the Guardian of Devotion Press. None of those books, Search for Sri Krishna, Sri Gaurana's Grace, Golden Volcano of Divine Love, Loving Search for the Lost Servant, Subjective Evolution of Consciousness, they would have never seen the light of day if it wasn't for Bhaktivedanta Mahayogi. So, and that's a fact. He knows it, and I'm the only person who really, he knows it, but I'm the person who knows it and supposed to let you know it. Because Guru Maharaj gave me all this praise, and I said, Maharaj, it's too much for me. It's not just for you. You distribute to the others, so I'm giving to him. Now you speak.
Well, thank you very much, Maharaj. It's, before I say anything, I just wanted to thank everybody, especially, it's Amir Sindhu, yeah?
Yeah.
I recognize you from your photo, but...
on the wanted poster.
Well, my coming here is a very strange odyssey. I have been inactive from Krishna consciousness for some time. Of course, if you think about eternity, what's 20 years, more or less? But I was, in my day, very dedicated and determined and very sincere and knew all the Sanskrit shlokas and the Bengali and studied very hard. And my job at Guardian Devotion Press...
How do you make this work? I don't see a screen. Keep speaking.
My job at the press.
Light off, fan on. Thank you. Okay. All right, just let him keep talking.
Came about as a consequence of His Grace, Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj. I was in ISKCON and felt very troubled. I didn't feel completely satisfied with what was going on and needed a new direction. So I had heard through a devotee named Dayalu Dulal, that there was a new direction evolving that I could participate in, and that dear Krishna Swami at that time knew about, and I should go see him. So I won't get into the whole history, but at the risk of my life, I put together some money and left the temple in Culver City, California. And it wasn't...
Los Angeles.
Yeah, Los Angeles. Yeah, it wasn't easy getting out, and some people tried to stop me, but I don't want to talk about all that. Anyway, I went to San Francisco, met with Maharaj. He said, yes, go to India. Went to India, and I was very desperate to be initiated by Sridhar Maharaj as his disciple. And at that time, Sridhar Maharaj wasn't really having anything to do with it. He didn't want to know. He said, because he didn't want to interfere in any kind of politics. And so he said, well, go see Govinda Maharaj. And at that time, Govinda Maharaj was Govinda Vidya Sundar. Vidyaranjan, yeah. And Govinda Sundar Vidyaranjan. Yeah, he was skinny. Yeah. And he had a lot of black hair, you know. And I met him and talked to him, and his point was, well, wait and see. And so I waited at that mat for like 3 months, and I was going crazy because I thought, I need to be Sridhar Maharaj's disciple. If I don't become his disciple, I don't know what I'm going to do. And they saw my desperation. I guess as a younger man, sometimes we're more intense and angry at the world, or we have more, determination to do certain things. You know, Guru Maharaj has called Goswami Maharaj bold, bordering reckless. So I was, I guess, a reckless young man, because I'd left my family and joined the Hare Krishnas, and then I left the Hare Krishnas and I didn't know what I was doing. I was in India, you know, I had a few dollars, but not much, no prospects. It was a completely crazy thing to do. But anyway, after some time, finally, Guru Maharaj said, yeah, all right, you can be my disciple, and he accepted me. I then went to London in the company of two sannyasis who were also in a similar situation, Aranya Maharaj and Giri Maharaj. And I don't remember if Ashram Maharaj came with us, but Ashram Maharaj was initiated around that same time. We were all there in India together. Aranya Maharaj had come from Los Angeles. And so we were flying back to, my ticket says, fly back to Los Angeles. And he said, well, we could get out in London. And I said, how does that work? He said, well, your ticket goes through London. Just get out in the transit lounge and keep walking. And, well, yes, of course. Why don't we do that? You know, that sounds like a really practical scheme, you know. I said, isn't it cold in London? He said, I never heard about that. I said, but I remember Dickens, you know. Dickens and, you know, Christmas Goose and all that. Seemed pretty... Yeah, the Christmas Carol, it's set in London. Yeah, snow, right? No, don't worry about it. Come on. So I got off the plane in London, walked through the transit lounge, and in my sandals and dhoti that I had been using in India because it was so hot, and walked out into the greatest blizzard that Europe had seen since Napoleon. Lots of snow.
All right, the wire, if you can stop doing that to the wire.
Sorry.
I'll give you something else.
Yeah. Okay. No, I'm sorry.
Avadut Maharaj does it to pillows.
Yeah, sorry. I'll just keep conscious of my hands. See, Bhagavad Gita, it says you should control your senses.
He needs a pencil. He usually has a pencil.
Oh, that's good. I like that, yes. Yeah, in the Bhagavad Gita, you're supposed to control your senses. And the senses involve the eyes and those are the active, I forget how you put it, the perceptive senses. But there's also the working senses, which are the hands. And when I teach school, I have to tell the teenage boys, control your hands, control your senses, don't keep them moving. So thank you. Yeah, so anyway, got off the plane in London and walked out into the snow in my sandals. So I had about $15 left now, and I went to some store on Bond Street where they sell very expensive clothes and bought the cheapest shoes I could, which were slippers. And I got about 20 feet in the snow and they were destroyed. So we went to the temple of, at that time, Jayatirtha Maharaj, who was very favorable and interested in the teachings of Guru Maharaj and the Chaitanya Saraswati Maharaj. And we preached there, Aranya Maharaj and I, and found that what we were telling people was too controversial. We weren't really supposed to discuss these sorts of things. That Guru Maharaj was the Shiksha Guru, for example, of Prabhupada. This was a very difficult thing for people to hear. And we were all enthusiastic and excited, and we're determined to give people the message. So after we'd been there for about 3 months, Jayatirtha called us into his office and he said, listen, I have a great situation for you. Yeah, what's that? Africa. Have you ever thought about Africa? And what? Why Africa? And he explained that what you're doing here is not really that sanctioned by the authorities. But in Africa, I have a mission in Johannesburg.
South Africa.
Yeah, well, that's Africa.
Right.
Yeah.
Further identified.
Even further south, yeah. So after some back and forth, he gave us a ticket and told us, Hare Krishna, and bye.
Chant Hare Krishna, be happy.
Chant Hare Krishna, be happy, And so I wasn't really very, as a young man, I wasn't so well organized, I'm a bit of a nerd. And I thought, okay, I have my ticket for Johannesburg, South Africa. I just go to the temple. Where is that? So I looked in the Bhakti Godhead magazine, and there's an address. And I thought, okay, I'll try to call from the airport, right? So I call from the airport to the temple, and there's no answer. And I thought, well, I'll work that out, right? Got on the airplane, flew to Johannesburg, South Africa. There's nobody there to meet me, Jan Smuts International Airport, yeah. And go through the airport. But I figure I'll follow the address in the Bhakti Godhead magazine. Got on a taxi to the bus station, took a bus out to the general area, and then I was just standing there in the middle of nowhere, waiting for something to happen. I thought, this is not good. I went and knocked on somebody's door. And I said, excuse me, I'm looking for this address. I'm lost. Can you help me? And a very nice South African gentleman, I guess he was Dutch, he said, sure. Got in his car, drove me around for about 2 hours. Now the sun's going down, right? We're way out in the country in Africa somewhere. I don't know where. I think I had about $300, and my passport, and my ticket, my Bhakti Godhead magazine, and that was it. And he said, here, why don't you try this place? And he dropped me off. I knocked on the door. Nothing. I noticed there's a side gate. I went through the gate. There was a Doberman Pinscher, a pit bull, big pit bull, and a German Shepherd, dogs. Yeah? And the dogs came up to me and went, like that. And I thought, well, this temple has good protection. Then somehow I got past the dogs and knocked on the door, and A man and his wife answered, and they didn't know anything. They said, "What are you talking about? What are you looking for? How can we help you?" And I explained. He said, "Hare Krishna? No. But, there were some people here before. They had some kind of a farm." And he let me spend the night. And the next day or so, he drove me into town to the Hare Krishna temple in Johannesburg. We stayed there for about 2 months. And that's where I met Udamanyu.
Right.
Yeah. And
Udamanyu, Jivana, Prabhala.
Yeah. Udamanyu and Jivana and Prabhala and Lalit Charan. Yeah.
Yes.
At that time he was Bhakta Lu. Yeah, Bhakta Lu. And to make a long story short, we had some opposition there in South Africa. And I don't want to get into the whole story, but basically it became difficult. And at that time I talked to Goswami Maharaj by telephone, and he said, "Look, I want to put together these books about Sridhar Maharaj. You said you could do it, Come to San Jose, California. We've got a little mission here." And so he sent me a ticket from South Africa to San Jose, California. And my job there was I would listen to the recordings of Sridhar Maharaj and transcribe them, and then look up the Sanskrit and the Bengali and try to put that together. And after we had a certain number of pages, I would show this to Goswami Maharaj, and he would say, "No, we need this," or "That's okay, but you're missing this." And why not try to bring a couple of sections together and make this a little longer, or cut that out? And, we would sit down and go back and forth like that. And it was an incredible opportunity for me and a great education. And I had the good fortune to work with some very wonderful, inspired people, and got a lot of mercy from Sridhar Maharaj and Govinda Maharaj. And our experience continued like this for almost 10 years, or a little bit more than that, I'm not really sure. We produced some books that I thought were very valuable. Later, our books were not bestsellers. Okay, they didn't make the top 10 on the New York Times bestseller list or anything like that. And
well, one thing I like to say about that, we know, without going into all the details, the way books were primarily distributed previously, the former institution, etc. Means somehow you get this money and you leave a book.
Yeah.
It's not like someone's generally interested in reading that book. The one thing that is true, and irrefutably so, is that all the books that we printed, every one of them was bought by somebody who wanted to read it. It was a big difference. Our books were being bought by people who actually wanted to read them and then shared them with 3 to 5 other people. And they sold out. They didn't go on the New York Times bestseller list. They weren't even on a New Age bestseller list. But they were bought by people who wanted to read them. It wasn't like, "Hey, I got a lot of ones in my pocket. Can you give me a 20? And then you end up with a book. This was like people, they wanted to hear Guru Maharaj's concept in the book, bought the book, and then shared it with 3 or 4 other people.
Yes, I remember once a young man came to our temple in San Jose. He said, he was a rock climber. You remember this guy? He was a rock climber in Yosemite National Park. And he lived in the park. And he just loved to climb mountains. And he got a job working with National Geographic or one of those companies, positioning their cameras up on the rocks. Yeah. Right. And he came and he said, "My favorite part of this book is when they say, 'Go deeper. You have to go deeper.'" And I was so pleased by that. It gave me such, warmth. But my point in saying that our books did not make the national bestseller list is to say that sometimes when you try to promote a concept, when you dedicate yourself to something and push it, you find opposition. And it doesn't really do as well as you wanted it to, And you push it and you push it and you push it. And at some point in time, it came to me that that was it for me at this period of my life. I really couldn't keep pushing any further. And as a consequence, I had to go my separate ways.
And that will be described later as Cold Sweat Part 2.
Cold Sweat Part 2. The attitude. So, anyway.
Yeah, let's save it. That's enough to whet your appetite.
Yeah, but
you can have a concluding statement.
Let me make a concluding statement because I'm
the judge recognized the lawyer for the opposition allows one concluding statement. At the time, the court will adjourn.
Thank you. But I'm leading up to something. I don't want to bore you with the story of my life, but just as Goswami Maharaj, he saved me when I was in Africa, surrounded by pit bull terriers, Doberman pinschers, angry opposition, lions, tigers, and bears. So a few weeks back, I put a video of myself playing a ukulele on the YouTube, just as a kind of a funny thing to do. I'm an old man now, and it's important to stay with the times and learn the technology, So I thought, okay, I'm going to give this a shot. So there I am playing my ukulele. A couple weeks later, I get a curious email saying something like, "Is that you?" Or "That was cool," or something. And I looked at it.
I said, the first one I wrote, you have comments on videos.
Yeah.
And it was Beyond the Sea.
That's right.
This famous song.
Right.
So I said, like, wink, wink, like your Beyond the Sea conception.
Yeah,
and you sons of nectar, like your, beyond
that's right.
the Geroja, beyond the Baba Sindhu.
Yeah.
Like your Beyond the Sea connection, call me.
So, but I wasn't, how it is if you use, YouTube or Facebook or something like that. You get a lot of comments on there and you go, maybe the person's being a little sarcastic, So I know that Maharaj has a great sense of humor. And one of the most important things for all of you that will serve you well in your spiritual life is to have a good sense of humor.
I wrote a second because I don't get a response. And I'm figuring out, he probably posted this just as a lark to do it, and maybe doesn't check it very often. But then I wrote another one, because he knows many languages. He knows Russian, Spanish, English, French, so it was like, avez-vous mon, have you read my message, mon capitaine? Because he's on there as Captain Panic, which I think is a total riot.
Yeah.
He's Captain Panic. So I said, did you get my message, Captain Panic?
But Amiya Sindhu understands why I get the name Captain Panic.
Okay.
Anyway.
Wait, I just want to say the third one.
Oh.
So then I'm going first I got real excited because I found him after trying to find him for 15 years. Then no answer to the first message, no answer to the second message. So now I'm going to get snarky. So the last message I sent was, you can see the dates of them. Last message said, ground control to Captain Panic, do you read me?
Yeah. Well, in the interim, because I had been a devotee for many years, I sort of neglected my family, to put it mildly. And everyone has their own story. I won't bore you with mine. But my mother died, my brother died in the last couple of years, and I have one more brother who drives a truck. The only way I can see him is if I sit in the truck with him. And so for this reason, I hadn't seen him for a long time, but I thought, I'm going to do it. So I went to California, got in a truck with my brother, and we drove 10,000 miles up and down through California. And what astonished me was that although I had not seen him in 37 years, I felt like no time had passed at all. So when I came back to Mexico and I saw this email, I thought, I'm doing Maharaj a great disservice by ignoring his communication. So I thought, all right, I'm going to answer this. He said, what? Ground control to Major Tom, do you read me? And I wrote back, I read you loud and clear. And Maharaj...
Right, then I come back here, just to insert this one point. After India, I've given up on the project, sort of, I'll probably write some, like, it'll get worse, the stuff I put on there, to get, like, his attention. So I'm just cleaning out my mailbox, and I see a blue dot. And I go, I'm just deleting. I hate to keep stuff. I'm deleting files by the hundreds. I see this one blue dot, and I look at it and it says, I read you loud and clear, Maharaj. And I went, oh my God. Like, it went through. And then I write him this letter, and I say, you know, forgive me for not, like, spending extra time on the pleasantries, but here's the deal. This is the situation. Here's the deal.
And so Maharaj says, here's the deal. I don't know if you're at all interested, you know, but I have this thing in Thailand, and there's devotees here, and we're interested in publishing some books. If you like, come here, visit me. Bring your wife. This is my wife, Aurora. Bring your wife. And
Aurora,
yeah,
like the boat in Petersburg. That's her name.
Yeah.
Not Maria, Aurora.
Aurora, yes. Well, in Mexico, you got to.
You ever seen Pablo Picasso's name? We'll read it to you sometime.
Yeah.
He has 27 names.
Yeah, so
Anyway,
I'm coming to the conclusion because we're running out of time and we want to eat. Yeah. Oh, does that have to do with the kangaroo? Because I didn't get that. I missed that. I was like, the Irish jig I got, but they're hopping. So, anyway.
That's why every Australian's got a little hop in his step. It wasn't brilliant, but it was.
Anyway. So I saw this offer. It says, you know, visit beautiful Thailand, you know, meet the devotees. Come now. And I looked at that and I thought, you know, in your life, when you make a decision, you shouldn't think about it forever. Either you do it or you don't. You know or you don't know. If you don't know, fine, take your time, put it off. If you know, do it. So I wrote him I looked at that. I actually talked to my wife though, you know. Yeah. And I said, you know, so Aurora, do you want to go to Thailand? And she's like, okay. Right? So then about 10 minutes later, I wrote, I'm in. You know, let's do it. Something like that.
You wrote back, it said, let's do it, with an exclamation point. Like, I collapsed on the floor.
Yeah. And
because Avadut Maharaj, my old friend Ramdas, they're always saying I should make a book, besides Guru Maharaj's book, but book like about my own book. You know, and I would tell them, or I would, we need introductory, every time we do one of these things, we have this talk, almost argument for 15 years. I will end up agreeing with him, and then I'll say, but I need Mahayogi. Then you should get him, you should find him. I'm trying, and then we just go to neutral corners.
Yeah, so, you know, one of the things that I intend to do is to help Maharaj project his own voice, because just as you spoke that Bhakti Siddhanta had his voice, and while Guru Maharaj, Sridhar Maharaj, was a bit of a Nirjan Bhajan, you know, he didn't really want to, it wasn't his personality, you know, it was difficult for him to go out in the world and push the way Bhakti Siddhanta did, but he felt the voice of Bhakti Siddhanta, and in part, I'm here because the voice of Sridhar Maharaj was heard by all of you. I'm astonished that our books that were not on the bestseller list, years later, they're in Russian, they're in the Ukraine, they're in Bangkok, you know, they're in Australia. And
Mexico.
And well, yeah, you know, but the people are reading them, and it's the basis of a movement. This is astonishing. So Sridhar Maharaj's voice has reached you. You can see that Goswami has a special talent for distilling the message of Sridhar Maharaj, of Guru Maharaj, of Govinda Maharaj, of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, of refining and extracting the essence of their message and making it practical for the West. This is something that Bhaktisiddhanta was determined to do. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in part of his mission was to give erudition to the cause of the Gaudiya Vaishnava so that people would see this is serious business. We're not talking about sahajas and babas doing crazy things in remote jungles, but we have a real mission here. It's serious. They have a special dress they wear. They have a liturgy that is all their own. But in doing that, to some degree, Saraswati Thakur had to make things difficult to understand, erudite, something for university students in India. But for the people of China or Chiang Mai, Thailand, how can we make this message easy to understand, practical, and not lose its profound depths? Goswami Maharaj, he can do that. But, you know, he may need a little bit of assistance in putting the period over here and the comma over there, and that's what I used to do. So,
being very modest.
If I can in any way, you know, assist Goswami Maharaj in his mission, or help any of you in your mission, that will give me life and hope. And so I'm very happy to be here to accept this invitation and to be able to serve you in any way that I might possibly.
Jai! Bhaktivedanta Yogi Maharaj ki jai! Saraswati Thakur Prabhupad Mahamahosati ki jai!